Hi, this is Pratik Soni. I'm a interventional cardiologist in South Bombay's New Age Wockhardt Hospitals, where we have our mantra is life wins. And what we mean by life wins is that we get some patients, we get some people, we do a lot of social teaching, and whatever activity we do outside the hospital and inside the hospital has an aim, and there is a conclusion. So the aim is that we have to do something which other people are not doing, and the conclusion is that the public at large should benefit. That is when we say life wins. If people are watching me, they can formulate their questions and can ask the questions, and I'll answer them live for the next 1 hour or maybe 2 hours. Depends on how much the audience is. This Wockhardt Hospital started in South Bombay about 2 years back, and in 2 years we have done a lot of good work, like difficult angioplasties. I'm a cardiologist, so naturally I'll be speaking on cardiology. So we have done a lot of difficult angioplasties, like putting stents at very tricky positions in the heart's arteries, drilling holes through the arteries where the calcium has got deposited, and putting in a stent in a straight fashion, in a V fashion, in a Y fashion, sometimes in T fashion. So all these things is what we have been doing here since the last 2 years, and our success rate is close to 99%. We are human beings, obviously, so we can't do what God can do, or we can't give you the result which God has given you the artery, which you have destroyed by junk food, not exercising, taking stress, using tobacco, and all other things. But what we do here is quite close to what the artery you were born with. We also treat diseases like heart valves, valve replacement surgeries, children with holes in the heart, and people with pulse rate problems. The pulse rate goes below or goes high, and if it goes below, we need a small machine which is called as a pacemaker, and when it goes up, we have a machine which can bring down the heart rate, which is called as the ICD. So we have been doing this actively in our hospital in South Mumbai. And just now for this meeting I put a stent in a 71-year-old man who already had 3 stents previously, and one of them was blocked. So we did an angiogram, showed a block, and then we advised the family for a stent. They agreed in about 15 minutes, and it just took us 4 minutes to put a stent inside and call them back and show that what we have done. Do I have some audience? Anybody of you want to use the questions? I would prefer if the audience or the people who are following this, they ask some questions, whatever doubts they have in their mind about themselves or their parents or their grandparents, or a grandparent asking about his small children, about some problem which he was born with. So I know you can't speak to me directly, but you can post your questions and I'll be glad to answer them. Yeah, you can write it on paper on tab. It's okay. Let it be informal. Let people know how doctors work. I have a question here. The question is, I wanted to know if heart attacks are hereditary. If my dad had a heart attack, does it increase my chances? Mr. Chirag, you're absolutely right. The only two proven theories about heart attack is one, that it is caused by use of tobacco, and two, genetics. When we say that people with diabetes, hypertension, no activity, obesity, they have heart attack, it is just an association. It is not a proven thing. It is an association. But the only two proven things are tobacco in any form and genetics. So if your father had a heart attack before the age of 40, then you must be careful about your diet, exercise, and in addition to that, if you are around 35 years of age, being an Indian male, you should get your heart checkup done every year. And that is the only way you can keep your risk of heart attack away. It might not become zero, but we can reduce it a lot. Natasha David has asked, what precautions must be taken to prevent heart attacks? Well, this is something which I think on Sunday you have read in the newspaper, on Monday you have read, today is I think Thursday. It's very simple thing. One, you should eat healthy. That means your food should have less oil, more protein, more fiber, and a graduated amount of fat, which should be a good fat. Good fat means no fat. Second thing is that you should do some exercise. The exercise may be just a brisk walk, 3 times or 4 times in a week, about 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. So if you walk faster, you can walk for less time. If you walk slower, you have to walk for more time. And recently, according to the British Medical Journal, there was a type of exercise which is called as a spurt exercise. You just don't warm up, you get ready, you start running, you run for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes and stop. So, spontaneous start, spontaneous stop, fast exercise burns more calories than a brisk walk or a slow walk or a swimming or a cycling. So this has been suggested about 6 to 8 months back by the British Medical Journal. Then you don't have to smoke, you don't have to use tobacco in any form. Shisha is now becoming very popular in Mumbai. You go once in a while, but that once in a while can make you addicted to it. And if you're addicted, you get nicotine, which makes our arteries. Arteries are like pipes. So when you take nicotine, the arteries constrict in size. They become small. And when they become small, naturally the blood is squeezed into them. And when the blood is squeezed into them, what will happen is that your blood pressure rises. And if you have a rise in the blood pressure which does not fall within 4 hours, then you might have to take medicines for it. So no tobacco in any form. Then you have to have some green leafy vegetables every day, like salads and fruits. So these are usually the factors which can cause a heart attack, and we need to take advice from the doctor nearby or the cardiologist nearby who is close to you about how to prevent or how to keep your heart healthy. So basic concept is only 4. Exercise, no tobacco, moderate carbohydrate, moderate fat, and good amount of protein. There's something called as a healthy diet. Deepak Chopra has written a book on that. Types of oil to be used, there's a lot of confusion in India. And precautions to be taken to prevent formation of cholesterol. Now these are common myths. Now there's exactly nothing called as a healthy diet. All diet you take is either good for heart, bad for kidney. Like if you take a high protein diet, it will be good for heart, but it will be bad for kidneys. Because protein breaks down into something which is like creatine, and creatine can cause kidney damage. When there is a kidney damage, creatinine rises. So your healthy diet should include about 40% carbohydrate, 40% proteins and 20% fat. And that is a 24-hour diet should be around 2000 to 3000 calories. depending on the person's weight and activity. If the activity level is low, you need to take reduced amount of food. If the activity level is high, you need to take more amount of food. So a healthy diet should be comprising of what I said. And in the carbohydrates, you should prefer complex carbohydrates. What I mean with this by complex is that instead of rice, wheat, you should use carbohydrates which have increased absorption rate. It takes a lot of time to get absorbed, like ragi, maize, oats. So they are the foods, or they are the carbohydrates you should prefer. The fat should be mufa, like olive oil, clarified butter, that is ghee, or coconut oil nowadays. So they are better because they contain more mufa. The fiber amount has to be at least 20% in your food. So if you are somebody from Punjabi family is fond of chole bhature. So bhatura is all maida. It is not wheat flour. So you can have a wheat flour with more amount of fiber content, which is sold by some companies, and you can opt for them and use that to make the bhaturas, or you can buy multigrain flour by which you can make the bhaturas. So that will make your life and diet a bit easy. So the diet is healthy and easy, the life is easy. You are not supposed to get a heart problem or diabetes too early. About the type of oils to be used. Uh, Cardiology is a very dynamic field. Every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, there is a different fashion. Now, initially we were told that mufa is bad. Then people started using curdy oil, sunflower oil, and other types of oil, and they used to contain a lot of PUFA. So now MUFA is omega 3 and PUFA is omega 6. Now our brain is made up of omega 3 fats. So the brain is made up of fat cells. I mean, fat is the main component of the brain or nervous system, and the fat in all this nervous system is omega 3. Now if somebody is taking like sunflower oil or curdy oil or safflower oil, it is high, it is rich in PUFA, that is polyunsaturated fatty acid. Now if you take a lot of that, your brain, which is omega 3, will be getting replaced by what you eat, and you are eating omega 6. So omega 6 replaces good omega 3 from the brain, and that has been thought to be or hypothesized to be, or there's a theory going around that replacement of omega 6, replacement of omega 3 from the brain by omega 6 is the reason for early dementia and most of a host of neurological disorders. Omega 3 fatty acid, which is more in olive oil, coconut oil, which is filtered, mustard oil, which we use, which is again filtered and decholesterolified, and obviously lard, which is pig fat, which you don't use in India. So these are supposed to be the best cooking medium, and ghee. The ghee should have a specific gravity of 40. And I don't want to take the name of the companies, but when you buy ghee, you should read the specific gravity of the ghee on the can or the box. And if it is high, it is good. It should be 40 or near 40. If it is too low, like 30, then it is as good as a bad oil. And another thing which we need to take into account, especially for the ladies who are running the home, is that if you heat a good oil, a high density oil, too much, more than 120 degrees, you convert that good oil or a protective oil into a bad oil or a LDL, which can cause blockage in your brain arteries, heart arteries, kidney arteries, hands and legs arteries. So ideally you should not heat the oil too much. Oil should not be reused, that is another second thing. There is a common misconception, people fry some food and when the oil is gone cold, they store it for next use. It is actually bad idea and bad behavior. It should not be done. Once you have used the oil for frying, that oil should be discarded, because that oil comes into contact with oxygen of the atmosphere, and when it comes into contact with the oxygen of atmosphere, it gets oxidized. And a human being ages or becomes old or gets his knees damaged or spine damaged or cervical spine damaged, and that is all oxidative process. So we human beings inside the body form some chemicals which is called as ozone, O3. Now this O3 is a potent oxidizer. So inside the body when it is released, it oxidizes certain good components of the body and it turns into a bad component. And if there is a bad cholesterol deposit which starts in one say artery of the body, and you don't change your lifestyle, you don't take preventive action, you don't take medicines, then this cholesterol deposit keeps on growing, and one day it will give some type of symptom like a stroke or a heart attack or a pain in the leg and arms, and you find that one of the arteries blocked, and then you need treatment for opening it up. So a doctor is actually common people's friend. People don't look at us as friends. People look at us as doctors. They look at us as somebody who is going to treat their disease for a fee or for a money or for some favor. And the recent trend is that a lot of people take second and third and fourth consultations. If you go to any doctor, the doctor doesn't want his patient to be harmed. He doesn't want his patient to become bad. So naturally, he'll treat you the best he can. I mean, that is what I think 99.9% of the doctors believe. That their patient should not be harmed. Their patient should go home alive. Their patient should have a good and healthy life. So there's not much to say about what type of doctor you choose or what type of doctors you refuse. All the doctors have the same concept of keeping the patient fit, alive and curing the disease. Sometimes we give say antibiotic for a sore throat and there's a reaction, and the whole family blames the doctor that you gave the wrong medicine. But the doctor gave the right medicine. He was not knowing that your body is going to interact with the medicine in a abnormal way and it will cause some reaction which can lead to a blob here or a blob here or some white patches here. So we don't know which patient is going to respond to which drug in what way, which medicine in what way. I have some more questions. Priya Francis is asking, how often should I go for a checkup? Now, usually in India, we start cardiac checkup for a male or you men by the age of 35 and in women by the age of 40. So this is 5 years less than what it is in Western countries. The reason being, Indian hearts are smaller in size, so the arteries supplying the heart muscle are smaller in size, and if some pipe or artery, I mean consider artery as a pipe, if some pipe is smaller, it has more chances of getting blocked. So we need to be more careful about our artery being open. So we do a checkup which is slightly earlier, because we are more prone for diabetes, blood pressure and heart attacks or blockage of the arteries. So a lady should have a checkup every year after the age of 35, and a gentleman should have a checkup every year. A lady should have a checkup every year after the age of 40, and a gentleman should have a checkup every year after the age of 35 for his cardiac condition. Now, if you go to any hospital nowadays, you get a lot of health checkup plans. So you have to consult some doctor that which plan is good for me. Like you have no family history of diabetes, blood pressure, heart problem, then you can just go for a simple heart checkup, which will cost you a lot less than compared to a test which is going to cost you around 10 times more. So I think I have answered your question. There is another question coming up. Can I drink, consume alcohol post-surgery? It's a very important and pertinent question. Basically, all those people who drink get a heart problem slightly more than normal people. So we usually advise them to drink less. Less means 30 ml 2 measures once a day, and maybe about 5 days to 6 days in a week is fair enough. But if they increase the amount, or if they increase the frequency, then all the beneficial effects of alcohol are reversed. And somebody saying that, oh, I drink McDonald's #1, so that is another, like, it's a fresh alcohol, it is not going to help you. The alcohols which are helpful to the body are the alcohols which are aged in casks, that is wooden casks, or they have additives like, we call them the chemicals, alkaloids, which are antioxidants. I just talked about the oxidation process in the body which leads to aging and all other disease. So these alcohols, wines, and champagne, and whatever you say, they contain beneficial things called as alkaloids, and if they are taken in moderate amount or a small amount, they are beneficial. But if you increase them, then you have rise in sugar, rise in blood pressure, rise in heart rate, and all these factors ultimately will give you a heart attack or a stroke or some other problem. So post bypass surgery, should you take alcohol? For those people who have not taken alcohol in their life, they should not start. And for those people who are taking, they should reduce it to about 30 ml, 1 measure or 2 measure in the night, and stop. And with that, they should not eat peanuts, cashew nuts. These two nuts are very, very dangerous because they contain a lot of saturated fat, which when absorbed from the body makes a cholesterol, and the cholesterol goes up. And high cholesterol, naturally, as you all know, is bad for people to have a heart disease. And also, after surgery, you will have more chances of the bypass getting blocked and going for a redo surgery or a repeat, maybe angioplasty or stent implantation. What are the chances of females getting heart attack? That's a very important, very good question. My youngest female patient with a heart attack was a 23-year-old lady. You'll be shocked, because when I was doing my medicine about 25 years back, I was told that ladies are protected from heart attack and stroke till they achieve menopause. Now this 23-year-old lady delivered a baby girl about a month back, and after about 7 days of that, she started having breathlessness. The family thought that since a girl is born, the mother is upset, the family is upset, they are not paying attention, her breathlessness is increasing, they take her to a normal doctor like we all have, a family physician, so our old family doctor, Dr. Buddy. They go to him, he gives some medication, no relief. After about a month or so of that, they go to a physician, and the physician advises a ECG. And on that ECG we see that there is a heart attack. And the heart attack luckily was not complete. It was going on slowly. We call it stuttering heart attack, or a heart attack in formation, or heart attack in action. So we advise the family that we need to do an angiogram. It's a very tough question when somebody who has just delivered a baby girl 1 month back, and you tell them that there is a need for an angiogram because we think there is a heart attack. But anyway, the family was good. They got convinced. We did the angiogram, and to our utter surprise, one of our main arteries supplying, we have usually 3 arteries. So the left-sided main artery supplying the heart muscle was 100% blocked, and our pumping was around 20%. Normally the heart pumping is called as ejection fraction, and that ejection fraction is 70, or in proper terms 67 plus minus 7%. Her pumping was only 20. We did an angioplasty, put a stent, and she went home. After 3 months we did a repeat echocardiogram and found out that the pumping has gone up to 35. So every 3 months we followed the lady, and after about a year her pumping came to close to 50-55%. And after that she had 2 more issues, both son, and the family was happy. So I think the Modi's, our Chief Prime Minister's mantra of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is very relevant in this scenario, because a 23-year-old girl or lady was neglected for almost a month, in spite of she complaining of breathlessness, which can be one of the only symptom of heart attack. We have another question. Can anxiety or stress trigger heart attack? And can healthy people also get heart attacks? So there are two questions. One is about stress, anxiety. Now, in Bombay, I would say everybody is anxious for the train you want to catch, for the bus you want to catch, for the person who is walking in front of you slowly, is not allowing to let you go ahead. So that is anxiety. If this anxiety remains and goes away in say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it is a transient phenomena, nothing will happen. But if you are anxious for a long time, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, taking stress for everything, for which you are not bothered about, then you become a person who's called as a DSM-3 or DSM-2 anxious person. And we have therapies for them like yoga, Indian age-old Indian therapy, behavioral therapy. There are doctors who talk to you and tell you what is stress and how can you reduce the stress, and maybe meditation. Some people try meditation. So yoga, behavioral therapy, meditation, if all three don't help you, then you need to go for medicines. And medicines for anxiety are actually addictive. So they will make you addicted to some particular medicine which the doctor prescribes for a short duration. And you might not be able to leave it entire life. So it is better to reduce your anxiety level by working with yoga and meditation and laughter club and things like that. Stress is a next step of anxiety. When the anxiety remains for a long time, it becomes a stress. And stress can lead to high pulse rate, it can lead to high blood pressure, it can lead to high sugar, it can lead to high triglycerides, one component of the lipid profile. And naturally, those people who have stress for long duration, they do have a high chance of heart attack. And the only way to prevent is leave anxiety, leave stress. And my answer to those people is like, this is a paper, this is a page. By taking stress, can you make this white page into pink or blue? Obviously the answer is no. So if you can't change certain scenarios in life, certain surroundings in life, certain environments in life, I think you should stop thinking about it. So that is the best way to get rid of stress. Can healthy people also get heart attack? Obviously yes, I answered it about 20 minutes back. Healthy people with a defective gene, when they are being formed in their mother's womb, there is a chromosome coming from the father and there is a chromosome coming from the mother. And when they both fuse, sometimes the 3 amino acids and 3 amino acids, they don't join like this, they join like this. So the junction is defective, and it produces a defective protein, protein C, protein S, amino acids like homocysteine. And those people who have this type of chromosomal aberration or genetic aberration, they are more prone to a heart attack even if they are totally healthy. So your question was justified and I appreciate that. I hope you are happy with the answer. Can children get coronary artery disease? Actually, the deposition of bad cholesterol starts by the age of 8 or 9. Now, once it starts, it's very small. I have a small photograph I can show you. When it starts, it is very small, something like in the first picture, in the top picture. If at this stage you don't reduce your intake of bad cholesterol, junk food, fried food, it can become something like the middle one. And when the middle one comes, your test can be positive. Like when you walk, you will have chest pain or breathlessness or pain in the neck, pain in the jaw on the left side, pain in the left shoulder, pain in the back. And at this time, if you go for a test called as a stress test, it will be positive. Then you have to follow doctor's advice and take medicines. If you don't pay attention at this level, then the cholesterol block increases in size, and naturally when it increases in size, the pressure inside builds up and the plaque ruptures, and you can see a small blood clot here. So that is what gives rise to a heart attack. Now, in our cardiology literature, or the journals we call, this is a medical journal, the youngest case of a heart attack is of a girl aged 9 from Brazil who had a heart attack in spite of having all coronary arteries normal. So that is the first or the only documented case of a child having a heart attack. Many of the child have diseases called as congenital heart diseases, that is holes in the heart, different connections of the coronary arteries and different connections of the aorta and pulmonary artery, the artery supplying blood to the body and to the lungs. So there is one condition called as Al-Kappa, abnormal left coronary artery from right coronary artery or from pulmonary artery. Now this Al-Kappa patients can have a sudden cardiac death, and in young children it is normally diagnosed by mistake, or something happens and somebody puts a stethoscope, and after putting the stethoscope you find out that, oh, there's some sound, so let's find out. So we do an echo and we come to a diagnosis. But by and large, heart attack in children is quite rare. It is less than 0.5%, and one should not be worrying about too much. We should worry about the holes in the heart in children and the valvular function, the aortic valve, mitral valve, if they are working normal or not. We should think about that and other stuff. So heart attack is quite uncommon in children in children. Many questions are coming. Yes, Noel, Mr. Noel has thanked for the education. I appreciate. Thank you very much, sir. We have some more questions coming up. Uh, Heart care tips. I think I should not waste my time on that. You already know it. What is the treatment for congenital heart defects? Congenital heart defects, I just talked about the holes in the heart and the abnormal placement of the main arteries or the arteries supplying the blood to the heart. And their treatment is either surgery, which is more common, or devices like what I do stenting. I can put a umbrella and close the hole, or I can put some other device and close some abnormal arteries, or if they are narrow I can open up them by a balloon. But those cases are about 20 to 35% of all the congenital heart defects. So the treatment for congenital heart defects largely remains surgery, and it is an expensive surgery. What is a heart valve surgery, somebody has asked. Now our heart has 4 valves, 2 on the right side and 2 on the left side. So the left sided valves are more important because they allow the blood to go in only one direction. So our heart on the left side gets the oxygenated blood from the lungs, and it comes into the left sided upper chamber. So it comes via 4 pulmonary veins, and from this chamber it goes into the pumping chamber, and that pumping chamber is called as the left ventricle. So between the upper end chamber, which is left atrium, and the lower chamber, which is the right ventricle, there is a valve that is called as a mitral valve. Now this is the valve which is most commonly diseased in a disease which is called as rheumatic heart disease. Luckily, the incidence of this type of heart valve problem is going down because of better education, better living standards, but still in rural India this type of disease is quite common, and the treatment for valve disease is obviously you have to replace the valve. So the age-old treatment was to do an open heart surgery, take the faulty valve out and put a new valve. Since 2008 we got a valve which can be put either from here or from here, or from the groin. Without doing surgery, we can replace the valve, and we can replace the aortic valve, which is the left-sided main valve, which protects the heart or is between the heart and the main artery supplying blood to the body. That can be replaced, which is most common type of replacement of valve nowadays, but it is restricted to a population which is very high risk for surgery. Then we have something called as the valve, tiara valve or some valve, which can be put in the mitral position. So that is again surgeryless. It can be just put from the leg and positioned at the point of the valve and open. So I think in about 5 years, the treatment of all the heart valve surgeries would be like angioplasty. The way we do angioplasty, we'll put a valve inside and deploy it, and you can go home. But the only drawback is it is expensive. So not many people can afford it, even in developed countries. Video is on. Here I can't see. Is heart attack hereditary? I think I answered that question. Let me go through some questions which you have sent. Can stomach gas cause heart attack? A very important question. Very important question. Reason. In India, out of 100 heart attack patients, only about 40 get proper chest pain. And I'm pointing the area where the chest pain happens. Is this precordial? We call it precordial. So here, the chest pain happens, which is because of heart attack. Otherwise, 60% of the people will have pain in the neck, pain in the jaw, pain in the left shoulder, pain in the back, or just burping. Now, as we all know, our heart is the size of our fist. So this is the size of my heart. This is the anterior portion. This is the posterior portion. So behind the heart is our food pipe. So if there is a problem of the food pipe, and the food pipe has acid coming from the stomach into the food pipe, and the heart is touching on it, the pH or the acidity touches the posterior or inferior aspect of the heart, and a person can feel chest pain. So this is a diagnostic dilemma, whether it is heart or stomach, that is food pipe and stomach junction. So we can just rule it out by doing an endoscopy. You find an ulcer or something, or a valve which is not closing. The stomach and food pipe valve is not closed properly. So you know that this pain is not from the heart. But if you have this part, the posterior and the inferior part of the heart, having a heart attack or getting less blood supply, so this irritates the food pipe which is in contact with the heart. So inferior, posterior, right ventricular heart attacks can irritate the food pipe and can lead to belching or burping or gas, which people neglect. Take some gas tablet on themselves, or go to the chemist and take a tablet, and end up with us after a week or 2 weeks with a badly damaged heart which has got a big heart attack, and the pumping, which should be 70%, is about 10. So we do treat them, but then in spite of high cost of treatment, they don't recover well. So if you have a constant burping, which usually happens after exercise or after food, you should consult both a gastroenterologist and a cardiologist and get the issue sorted out. Can modern medicine completely prevent a heart attack? Very good question again. No. Modern medicine does prevent heart attack to a certain extent, and that extent is about 41%. So a simple drug like aspirin or medicine like aspirin, taken in a small dose every day after the age of 35 for men and after the age of 40 for women, can prevent a fatal heart attack. Mind well, it can prevent a fatal heart attack. So a heart attack which can take a life away is prevented, and the person remains alive. He gets a heart attack, but the heart attack is smaller in size. He has time to go to the hospital. The person has time to go to the hospital to get treated, and he can go home after the treatment. But if you say that some medicine which can make the heart attack zero, no. There is no such medicine. There was a big study done in England, and they used to give 4 medicines, pills in England, and in one city the pill was containing all the 4 medicines, and in the other city the pill was containing just a placebo. Placebo is like a chemical which is made into a tablet which doesn't have any active compound. Now the differences in the heart attack was so huge that the study was stopped prematurely, and we do have some companies in India which make this combination, and obviously those people who want to remain fit and healthy in spite of their food and exercise and everything good thing, have some abnormal cholesterol or some family history, they can take this medication and they can reduce their chances of having a heart attack, one, and they can reduce their chances of death because the heart attack would be smaller. Why do people suffer depression after open heart surgery? Again, an important question. I think this must be a person who has got a bypass surgery. It is human to be depressed after a bad thing. If India loses, we are depressed. If PV Sindhu got a silver, I was depressed. She was playing so nice in the first and second games, and she lost. So yes, you are depressed after a major surgery, but there is no need for depression. You should think that you have got a second life, and that second life is a discounted life. So in a discounted life, I think Indians should work pretty well and they should do good things, because whenever I go to the mall or shopping center, I see the shop where it is written 50% discount is full, and the shop which is selling the product at full rate, hardly anybody goes inside. So we Indians are used to discounts. So whoever posted this question, depression after bypass surgery, should be happy that he has got a discount. He should be happy about it and not worry about and not to have depression. How much does an open heart surgery cost in India? Again, a good question. India has a variety of treatment centers, like from nursing homes to tertiary care and quaternary care hospitals. Our Wokhart is a quaternary care hospital. We don't call tertiary. Tertiary is something like other hospitals nearby us. So we are a quaternary care hospital. We have something beyond which other hospitals are treating. So our treatment for bypass surgery would be somewhat expensive than others, but I think we are at par with them. If you go to a government operated medical college or a hospital, the treatment of surgery will be quite low, but then there are certain things missing there, and there are certain things which is not missing in this hospital. So the cost in India, the cheapest I think was in Bangalore, Narayan Hrudayalaya, for about 33,000 rupees, and the maximum can go up to anything like 20 lakhs. It depends on what complication you have after surgery. But if it is an uncomplicated surgery, I think from about 1 lakh to 2.5 lakh is the normal cost. Can you conduct heart surgery on an old person? Yes. Old people are the ones who get heart attack, who get less attention from their children, from their grandchildren, from the society. So these people are the ones who have more anxiety, more stress. Plus they had the risk factors when they were young. The 1960s and 70s oil in India was not very healthy oil. Now we are used to healthy oil. So these people are at risk of heart attack, which is almost 4%. And if they get a heart attack, we have to treat it either by angioplasty or by surgery, and we do it. Simple answer. I have a very good question. Which is the best option? Bypass or angioplasty and stenting? We had, medical studies in the past, about 15 years, 20 years back, and then one 10 years back, and one about 5 years back. So the first study said that bypass surgery is superior in a patient who gets 3 or more stents. But both the groups, bypass surgery and the stent, both lived for the same time. So both the modalities did not increase life. Both lived for the same duration and then they died. The second study done showed that we had better stents, and it was done with better stents, medicated stents, and it said that whether it is bypass or whether it is angioplasty, both are good, both are equally well. Now angioplasty is expensive in India. Bypass surgery, as I told you, is cheaper in India. So it depends. It's a personal choice whether you want multiple stents or you want bypass surgery. So today bypass surgery and multiple stents in a heart, whether done it in one stage or two stage, both are almost equal. They give good results for a good long duration of time. 10 to 15 years is the usual time. They do well. And there are some people who are doing good even after 25 years. I did my first angioplasty in 1994 and with a stent, and that is still open today. So why it is open, I don't know. It's a surprise, but it is open. So stents do remain open for a long time. So whether bypass or multi-vessel stenting, you can choose what you want. Can a diabetic patient withstand a dialysis right after an angioplasty? Yes. It is possible because in a diabetic patient with a kidney dysfunction, we give a dialysis, take the patient for angiogram, angioplasty, whatever, and after the procedure we again do a dialysis and then send them home. So it is done. I take one more question. How long does it take to recover from heart surgery? Very interesting question. I've worked in a lot of countries. In USA, if the first patient is taken at 6 a.m. and the second one is taken at 8 a.m. and the third one is taken at 10 a.m., all these three patients go home the next day. In India, if we send these patients home the next day, there are social questions. How can you send them to home the next day? But yes, it is possible. And sometimes when the heart surgery is wound, the cutting of the chest bone and the skin and muscle doesn't heal, it can take even 2 or 3 months for proper recovery. So how long does it take to recover? I would say from 4 weeks to 4 months, because 4 weeks is the time. If you get a cut somewhere, it usually heals in about a month, so that is 4 weeks. I have some of my colleagues sitting around me and they are sending me questions. Something new question? It's very difficult to read here. How do female heart attacks differ from male heart attacks? I think differ. They differ. They don't differ. Heart, whether it is a female heart or a male heart. Now in Bombay you are having heart transplants. So a male heart is put in a lady and a lady's heart is put in a male. So heart is a heart, the arteries are arteries. Heart attack is similar, treatment is similar. The only thing is women tend to improve or recover faster than men after angioplasty or after bypass surgery. That's the only difference. Otherwise, women tend to fare better. I think, should we continue more? There are some good questions, I think. They are saying yes? Okay. Haley Halia is asking, how can we prevent a heart attack? We can't prevent.